Mongolians obtained a traditional dwelling named ger, which perfectly suits the nomadic way of life after having used it for thousands of years in conformity with the geographical location and climatic conditions of the country. The development of Mongolian ger is closely related to the appearance of nomadic herders who practiced nomadic pastoral livestock breeding. The yurts, or the tent dwelling, presently used by the Tsatans or reindeer herders, had been improved with years and was developed in the Mongolian ger. They initially used very simple wooden shelter, and with the practice of livestock breeding they enlarged that. There was made a wooden ring on the top supported by a shingle post, which was intended to let the light in and let the smoke of the fire made in the center of the shelter out. The dwelling was further improved to be developed into the ger with wooden latticed walls. Mongolian ger was tremendously improved in the 12th to 17th centuries and obtained collapsible walls, round-shaped smoke hole, and felt-made door, and the pointy top of the ger was made domed. At times of the Chinggis Khan, there existed the big ger palaces, like Great Golden Palace and Golden Palace for the use of great Hans. 5,000 years from now, herding tribes and states of Central Asia intensively developed nomadic livestock breeding. Then Mongolian ger was the perfect dwelling for nomadic herders' tribes, for it's easy to assemble, reassemble, and transport, and it's warm in cold weather and cool in hot weather, steady in wind and comfortable to live in. Mongolian herders who live in a beautiful country with 4 seasons use carts when they move from one place to another. It is a great national tradition which has strict rules, and it has been passed down from one generation to another. Mongolian ger consists of 3 basic parts: wooden framework, covering, and ropes. It is made of local wood and animal origin raw materials. For thousands of years, the Mongol nation has been using, developing, and improving the ger, and has the rich knowledge, experience, and tradition of making the ger. Mongolian ger is the centuries-old intellectual property of Mongolians.
Монгол орны төв хэсэгт нэгэн үсгэлэнт газар байдаг. Энэ бол хустайн байгалийн цогцлборт газар юм. Энд тахин утгшуулсныг та бүхэн мэдэх байхаа. Бид энэ удаад Монгол гэрийн тухай танилцуулахаар хустайн жуулчны бааз дээр ирээд байна.
The ton is the top of the wooden framework of the ger. Initially, it was a simple ring, then it was a crossed joint, and later it was made little curved. The ton is made of good quality wood like cedar, birch, and broom. There are many different local techniques of making the ton. One of them is to choose a thick piece of birch, remove its bark, leave it in water for a while to get the juice out. Then cut it into 2 pieces, chop, and sew them and warm them in the fire. After that, nail down the 2 ends crossed and put on a ring of stakes pushed into the ground. Then you gradually make the ring smaller, moving forward the stakes closer to the center to get the desired size of the ton. The ton is usually stitched with lace made of camel's neck skin and painted red, preferably, and decorated with ornaments and woodcuts. Mongolians highly appreciate the ton. They never burn the old ton. Women are not allowed to touch it and carry the ton on the top of the first loaded cart of the caravan while moving. It is the tradition to hang the blue silk ribbon hadak with barley and rice, the symbol of prosperity, on the northern center of the ton when putting up a new ger. One of the most important things about the ton is chahtag. It is made of ropes twinned from camel's mane and sewn together. Chahtag is fastened to the ring hanging from the ton center, and it is attached to the supporting poles on the left side of the ger. The reason to use camel's mane is to make chahtag as strong as a male camel. When there is a strong wind, chahtag is fastened to the heavy load or pitched in the direction of the wind. Bigger the size and space of the ger, greater the gravity. Supporting poles are used. The ger has 2 supporting poles. However, 4 supporting poles may be required for 8 to 10 walls ger. Supporting poles are also patterned to look nice and symbolize prosperity. The un symbolizes the rays of the sun in Mongolian ger. Un resemble the chest of the Mongolian ger. These are the poles which support the ton and are roped to the tops of the walls. The ton and un pass the pressure of the roof to the walls. Un form the basic part of the ger framework. They may be 2 different types, straight and hooked, and are made mostly of well-dried aspen wood. The length of un depends on the size of the ton. The un of 5-wall ger may be 2 to 2.5 meter long, while those of 4-wall ger could be 1.5 to 2 meters. The un are decorated with different motifs and carving. One end of the un is pushed into the hole in the ton, and the other end is roped to the top of the wall. The wall of Mongolian ger forms the body of the ger, support the ton and the un, and equally spread the load of the un and ton to the ground. The smallest ger has 4 latticed walls. The number of walls depend on the size of the ton. Traditionally, Mongolians prepare a new 5-wall ger for their sons when they marry. With family enlargement, they expand the ger to 6 and 7 walls. The walls have 3 peculiar features. For they are collapsible, they may be stretched to make a ger lower with the more room. Secondly, the walls spread evenly the load of the ton and the un to the ground. Thirdly, walls are important for shaping the ger nicely. The wall woods are fastened together with camel hide. In ancient times, the door of the ger was made of felt, but modern gers now have wooden doors, and cedar is most suitable for the door. The door is painted red for protecting the family from illness and evils. There exist different unwritten rules about entering the ger. For example, visitors leave any weapons out while entering the ger. You are not allowed to talk at the door, and you should not sit, stand, and step on doorstep. The door doesn't only protect the family from evils, but it represents the symbol of sustainability and safety.
Монгол гэр гэрийн мод, гэрийн бүрээс, гэрийн оосор бүслүүр гэсэн 3 үндсэн хэсгээс бүрддэг. Бид сая та бүхэнд гэрийн мод буюу модон хийцийг барьж үзүүллээ.
All parts of the ger are mostly made of wood and animal origin raw materials, which are in plenty in Mongolia. One of the most important parts of the Mongolian ger, the roof and the side covers and floor covers, are made of felt or processed sheep wool. Felt is made usually in autumn or in the middle of August. As felt making is a difficult job for a single household, several families work together to make it and try to choose a good day for felt making. Mongolians greatly honor the urch as the head of the ger. The urch is used to cover the ton to regulate the temperature and light inside the ger. The urch is square in form, and the rope at one end of the square is used to cover and open the urch. The other ropes at the remaining 3 ends of the square are fastened to the horizontal belts of the ger. Side covers made of felt are called the torq. A normal Mongolian ger has 3 layers of 4 torq, which are triangular in form. Dever is the cover of the upper part of the ger. Southern and northern covers are made of 3 to 4 layers of felt. Roof cover is sewed with spinned sheep or camel wool. Ropes which are put around the ger are called buslur. There are inside and outside buslur. They are made of horse's tail and mane hair. Inside buslur are put around the walls, and 3 outside buslur are put on the side covers of the ger. The outside buslur keep tight the walls and the side covers. 2 other ropes are put across the ger from south to the north. After the wooden framework of the ger is assembled and it is well shaped inside cover, the torq and the outside cover are put on the ger according to the season. The bures protects felt covers from rain and dust. In summer light, bures are used.
Монгол гэр монголчуудын нүүдлийн аж амьдрал нутаг орон цагаагаарын байдал зохицсон өвөрмөц сууц юм. Энэ нь дундад Азийн зарим улс үндэстнүүдийн гэр сууцтай адил төстэй боловч бат бөх чанар барьж буулгахад хялбархан зэрэг олон давуу талтай.
Few days before moving to a new place, the head of a Mongolian family goes to that place and checks if there is a good grass and water sources nearby. While moving, Mongolians load their gear on the back of animals, on carts, or in sledges. For transportation, they mostly use camels in the Gobi and bulls in the Khangai mountainous regions. Before loading camels, they sort out loads by weight to make a good balance. The ton, other things of value or fragile things, are put on the most tamed camels, bulls, and horses. For move is a hard and exhausting work. Every household which is located on the road tends to help those who move. The order of putting furniture in the ger has been passed down from generation to generation. The ger furniture is mostly light, and it is connected with the fact that since ancient times, Mongolians have been moving constantly from pasture to pasture. The stove, or an open fireplace, is placed on the ground straight under the chahtag, or in the very center of the ger. Carpets, or handmade rugs, are laid on the floor. They make the ger look clean and comfortable. The space inside the ger is divided into the hömer, or the back, and western and eastern parts. The back of the ger is for chests and deity. The head of the family always sits in the back of the ger. The western part of the ger is a kitchen, where one can find a leather bag for making fermented mare's milk, devices for making milk vodka, pots for milk and yogurt, and other kitchen utensils. Then walls are put clockwise, starting from the west side wall, and are fastened together with the rope. After that, the thorn is attached to the supporting pole and raised to be supported by a number of un on four sides. The ropes on the four sides of the ger will help to put the center of the thorn to be a parallel with the center of the door. The door of the Mongolian ger should always face south to let more light into the ger. After the thorn is set well, are put from southwestern, southeastern, and northern parts. Then the roof cover is put, followed by side covers starting from southwestern part. Then the outer cover is put and the ger is roped starting from the southwest. After the ger is assembled and the furniture is put tidily, the fire is made to make fresh. If a new family puts up a ger, the chahtag rope is covered with the red cloth and attached to the un in eastern side of the ger, folded 5 to 7 times. The blue silk ribbon khatag is attached to the chahtag, and offerings are made to the heavens. Mongolians are careful in selecting the day and the time of the move. Always try to leave the place clean, and there shouldn't be left any holes in the ground and stakes pushed into the ground. Thus, the move of Mongolians doesn't only mean moving from one place to another using animals or an animal-drawn cart, but it is a long-standing tradition which has a strict rules and orders. Thanks for watching this film. Welcome to Mongolia to see the life of nomadic herders who have the biggest heart like the boundless steppe of the country.
Бид та бүхэнд хамгийн энгийн хийцтэй ахуйн хэрэглээний 4 хантай гэрийг барьж үзүүллээ. Сүүлийн үед гадаадын аянчид, жуулчид Монгол гэрийг ихээр сонирхох болсон. Хүссэн хэн боловч дуртай газраа Монгол гэрийг барьж болох нэ.